Imagine a planet hidden for centuries, found only by math and gravity. But wait, there's more. What about a whole continent that was invisible until humans dared to explore the ice? Let's dive into a mystery from the past. In the 1800s, astronomers like Johann Gottfried Galle and Heinrich Darest were on a mission to find a new planet. Using math and gravity, their calculations led to the discovery of Neptune in 1846. Before Neptune, we thought there were only 7 planets in our solar system. Now, let's talk about another fascinating mystery: the discovery of Antarctica. For years, explorers had no idea this massive icy land even existed. The harsh conditions made it nearly impossible to find, but eventually, brave souls discovered the frozen continent. The hypothetical scenario: imagine a time millions of years ago, during the Eocene epoch, when Earth was much warmer, around 9 to 14 degrees Celsius higher. Antarctica, which we think of as a frozen land today, was actually much warmer. Scientists have found fossils in Antarctica that suggest it had a climate similar to places like Florida or Southern California today. This means it was once home to plants and animals that thrived in warm conditions. If we compare it to Europe's climate, ocean currents played a big role in shaping the temperatures, carrying warm water across the planet and keeping Antarctica warmer than we can imagine today. So, in the past, Antarctica wasn't a cold, icy desert, but a green, warm land. Quite a huge change from what we see now. An alternate timeline: imagine a world where Antarctica never turned into the icy, frozen continent we know today. In this alternate timeline, Earth has a different climate, one where temperatures are consistently warmer. Instead of ice sheets, Antarctica remains a lush green land, full of forests, plants, and possibly animals. In this scenario, the continents stay in their usual positions, but the global climate is dramatically different. Antarctica would be a place where the environment could support life, much like regions today, such as Florida or Southern California. Instead of being the coldest place on Earth, it would be a vibrant continent, rich in vegetation and possibly teeming with wildlife. This idea gives us a glimpse of how different the world could have been if Earth's climate had remained warmer when Antarctica was still green and thriving. Would humans have discovered it earlier? What types of plants and animals would have lived there? It's an intriguing thought to explore how Earth's history might have unfolded in this alternate timeline. Mammals and fauna in a warmer Antarctica. In a warmer Antarctica, the types of mammals that could have lived there would be similar to those found in other parts of the world. These would include placental mammals, monotremes, like the platypus, and marsupials, like kangaroos. Marsupials in particular might have crossed over from Australia to Antarctica, evolving into unique species due to its climate and landscape. One exciting idea is that large marsupial megafauna could have existed in Antarctica, similar to the giant marsupials that lived in Australia, like giant wombats or kangaroos. These big animals could have thrived in Antarctica's lush green environment, feeding on the abundant vegetation and developing into larger, more specialized species than we see today. Think of how Australia's fauna was incredibly diverse before humans arrived. Australia was home to a wide range of species that didn't exist anywhere else. In a warmer Antarctica, we could have seen a similar mix of species, adapted to its specific environment and totally different from anything on the mainland. Unique evolution in Antarctica. With Antarctica being warmer, we could expect unique evolution to happen. We might see alpine marsupials, creatures adapted to life in the mountains. These animals could have been similar to the marsupials in Australia, but evolved to live in higher, cooler altitudes, dealing with the rocky and challenging terrain. The continent would also experience long, dark winters, shaping how both plants and animals evolved. Animals may have developed ways to survive the harsh winters by slowing down their metabolism or going into hibernation. Similarly, plants might have adapted to survive with very little light, using tricks like storing extra energy in their roots. This mix of warmer climate, mountains, and long winters could have led to the evolution of interesting creatures adapted specifically to Antarctica's unique conditions. Human interaction with the green Antarctica. Imagine if Antarctica had remained a green, habitable land. It could have changed the entire course of human history. Instead of being a frozen, uninhabitable place, Antarctica might have been home to ancient civilizations, and human societies could have developed differently. One exciting idea is the possibility that the Polynesians, the people who sailed across vast stretches of the Pacific Ocean, might have been able to reach and colonize Antarctica. The Polynesians were known for their incredible navigation skills, and it's possible that they could have used their knowledge of the stars and the ocean currents to discover Antarctica long before Europeans did. Even more fascinating, some believe that the Maori from New Zealand could have reached Antarctica first. If they had, the history of human exploration and colonization might have looked very different, with Polynesians becoming the first known inhabitants of the continent. Cultural impact. If humans had settled in a warm Antarctica, the unique environment would have influenced their society and culture. For example, long periods of darkness in the winter and long periods of sunlight in the summer would have been very different from the cycles most of us experience today. People's daily lives would have revolved around these natural patterns, likely creating myths and legends around these extreme periods. These conditions might have led to specialized technologies and ways of living, such as special shelters to deal with the long winters or traditions centered around unique sunrise and sunset patterns. The culture of these ancient Antarctic civilizations would probably be vastly different from anything we know today. European discovery of Antarctica. For centuries, Europeans had legends about a vast southern land known as Terra Australis. This mythical continent sparked the imaginations of explorers and mapmakers. When Europeans finally began exploring the southern seas, they were searching for this legendary land. In reality, Antarctica wasn't just a myth. It was an actual landmass, but it was covered in ice, making it look unwelcoming. However, if the continent had been free of ice and had a warm, habitable environment, it would have been an entirely different story. As European explorers reached the southernmost parts of the world, they started discovering parts of Antarctica. The British were the most successful, sending expeditions that mapped parts of the coastline. Eventually, Antarctica was no longer a mysterious land in the imagination, but a real place that could have been colonized. Had the continent been free of ice, European powers like Britain, France, and Spain might have raced to establish colonies there. With its fertile land and mild climate, it could have been a place for settlements, trade, and new opportunities, much like the New World was for Europeans in the Americas. Challenges of colonizing Antarctica. Colonizing a green Antarctica would come with huge challenges. One of the biggest issues would be the long periods of daylight and darkness. Continuous daylight would make it hard for people to sleep or follow a regular routine, while months of complete darkness in winter could affect mental health. Agriculture would be challenging due to the need for careful cultivation and a short growing season. The lack of natural light during dark months would make it harder to grow crops. Raising animals would also be difficult due to the cold climate and lack of natural pasture. Resource management would be crucial, involving complex systems of storage and transport. Antarctica's remote location would make it difficult to bring supplies, people, and equipment, requiring advanced technology and huge resources. So this idea of an ice-free Antarctica is a fun thought experiment that imagines how history might have been different. It shows us the challenges and uniqueness of living in such a place, with extreme conditions like long periods of daylight and darkness. In this alternate world, Antarctica could have played a very different role in human civilization, possibly shaping global history in ways we can't even imagine.